Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. All right, so I'm here at the Golden Gate Bridge. This is Minimalist Gear Talk. I've got on the Ghost Whisperer jacket from Mountain Hardwear. It's basically got two major components. It's got lightweight, water-resistant 5 to 7 denier nylon on the outside, and it's got hydrophobic down on the inside. The hydrophobic down is treated with plastic so that it doesn't absorb water and maintains its loft when wet, so that it can be used as a replacement to a polyester fill jacket. And I'll try to explain as much as I can about the jacket. I recently took some footage of myself hiking in the rain in the Ghost Whisperer. I'll cut away and show you that footage, and I'll also show you some footage of just the hikes around the Golden Gate Bridge, and check it out. So check out that beautiful sunset. The Ghost Whisperer allowed me to sit here in the cold. It's about 40 degrees right now, but I was able to sit here for about an hour filming that sunset. And you know, I'm not really warm right now, but I was warm enough to be able to sit here and watch the sunset for an hour in the cold. And I enjoyed it. It was really pretty. All right, so when you're in a down sleeping bag and you're sleeping on your back, you perspire a little bit, and the down that's on the back of that sleeping bag that you're laying on, it absorbs your perspiration and it goes flat. When you roll over onto your side, you then have a flat, damp, cold spot on your back, and the breeze is blowing against it if you're cowboy camping, and it'll make you totally cold because it takes a while for that down to dry out and regain its loft, because it takes warmth to dry out that down. And if the down is cold, because the cold wind is blowing on it and it's already flat and damp, it'll take a while for your body heat to warm it up so that it regains its loft and gets warm again. By the time that happens, you might already be really cold in the middle of the night and not really able to get back to sleep. That's where the Ghost Whisperer steps in, okay? Hydrophobic down does not absorb moisture from your perspiration. Okay, so as you sweat, the down is coated with plastic, and that prevents the down from absorbing your sweat. And so since the down doesn't absorb your sweat, it doesn't necessarily lose its loft. So it is a replacement to polyester. So polyester, it doesn't really go flat from moisture. You can sweat on it, and the polyester still remains its loft, and it can absorb some body heat. That body heat allows that moisture to turn into fog and travel out. Okay, so for instance on the Ghost Whisperer sleeping bag, the nylon on the shell here, it's really breathable. And so as your body heat warms up the down, the perspiration that's in that down, even though the down isn't absorbing it, it's still getting wet. There's water in there. But your body heat is allowing that water to turn into fog and continue to travel out, and it actually like escapes the sleeping bag. keeps the sleeping bag dry, keeps it lofty and warm. So it becomes an alternative to a normal sleeping bag. With a normal sleeping bag, you have to be inside of a shelter. So when you're inside the shelter creates condensation inside of that shelter. And that sucks the fog away from your sleeping bag so that it doesn't get damp, and it collects all that condensation on the tent. And you can feel how much it is. The tent gets really wet, and you can tell there was a lot of water inside of your tent. All of that water was sucked out of your sleeping bag. It would have made your sleeping bag really wet and cold. One alternative to that people use is they'll clip a quilt to an insulated air pad. Because when you roll from side to side underneath that quilt, the quilt doesn't move with you because it's clipped into place. So you have a warm air pad under you, and you have the warm air pad under you, and you have the quilt is clipped above you, so you can roll from side to side. Or in a hammock, you've got an underquilt under the hammock, and you've got an overquilt over you, and you're rolling from side to side, but the quilt isn't really rolling with you. So, you're sweating, and your sweat is getting onto your nylon hammock, but you've got another quilt under it and above it, which gets that environment inside of there warm, and that warmth can turn that water into fog, and it can escape out of your hammock. Okay? So the Ghost Whisperer is for ground sleepers, and it's basically an alternative to a quilt. And it's also an alternative to a tent. If you just want to bring like a poncho tarp and you just want to use the tarp to protect you from the rain, you can cowboy camp every single night in the Ghost Whisperer. So really, the Ghost Whisperer sleeping bag is the sweet spot, not just in the Ghost Whisperer series, but I think also just in Mountain Hardwear in general. This is one of the better products that's out there on the market. It's awesome. You just sleep inside of your sleeping bag. The air pad that you need to go with this is much smaller in your pack than an insulated air pad. So you've got a small air pad in your pack, and then all you need is the Ghost Whisperer sleeping bag. It's really easy. You don't need an insulated air pad with a quilt, with clips. You don't need a hammock with an underquilt and an overquilt and a beanie, etc. Now, as far as the Ghost Whisperer jacket, personally, I don't think that the Ghost Whisperer jacket functions in all situations as good as the sleeping bag. The sleeping bag really ventilates itself and stays warm and dry really easily, really well, more or less all the time. You would need to get dumped. Rain would seriously need to dump down onto your sleeping bag for it to fail, for it to go flat. I could tell you though that this thermostatic sleeping bag from Mountain Hardwear, this absorbs water like a sponge. So this will gain an insane amount of weight when wet. If you just sleep in the rain in this, and in the morning you can barely pick it up, it's so heavy. So, Ghost Whisperer is getting away from polyester completely. It has some competition from polyester jackets. Here's the Micro Puff from Patagonia. This is a really thin jacket that has kind of a lame temperature rating. Once the temperature gets down below 60, this jacket is a little bit too cold to wear. So the Ghost Whisperer kind of steps up in that regard. This is a little bit warmer than the polyester guys. There is one polyester jacket out there that's made by Enlightened Equipment called the Torrid jacket, which has a similar temperature rating to the Ghost Whisperer. However, that Apex jacket can lose its temperature rating over time. It can become kind of like cooler and cooler and cooler as you go, because it kind of loses its loft just from being compressed and stuff like that. The Ghost Whisperer has indestructible 950 fill down in it. That's chemically treated. It's bleached. It doesn't have any dander or allergens in it. It's coated with plastic. It doesn't absorb water. But one of the issues with it is just that even though the down doesn't absorb water, the jacket does struggle with ventilating that moisture. So, moisture, especially in the arms, moisture can build up so that it gets wet in the arms. This really, really thin the liner material, it can stick to your skin because there's so much sweat in the arms, and your arms don't generate a lot of body heat, and so you need body heat in order to get the inside of the jacket dry. The way that the moisture that's inside the jacket turns into fog and comes out of the jacket is with your body heat. You've got plenty of body heat here in the chest, but the zipper is kind of a cold spot, which does kind of cool off some of your heat source, which is right here. Also, your arms are bonier than your chest, so your arms don't really produce the same amount of body heat as your chest, and that's one of the reasons why moisture just builds up and builds up and builds up until your arms are just like sloppy wet. And then even your backpack straps can block off the avenue of ventilation. So as your arms get warm and that moisture tries to travel up and out of the jacket, for some reason the backpack straps block that avenue of ventilation, and the moisture can kind of get trapped in here and basically just this whole area of the jacket can get really wet. And so because of that, because of the wet arms, you know, it's difficult to say if the Ghost Whisperer is the ultimate solution for like a through hike or something like that. If you want to science it out, technically the Ghost Whisperer will work. It is a really lightweight, ultra light, ultra packable jacket that is an alternative to polyester. It's easy to wash. The down is relatively indestructible. You can wash this jacket, put it in the dryer and wash it. The nylon could eventually rip anytime that you're using 7 denier nylon. It can give you a sense of confidence. You'll feel like nothing's ever going to go wrong. It hasn't failed on you forever. But then just one day, it can all of a sudden just rip, which I'll show you right here. This one, it just ripped recently. It just when this 7 denier nylon rips, it just suddenly will rip open, and there's not a lot you can do to fix that. You know, if a sharp branch suddenly just pokes through here and rips it open, you're done. Or if you're in a shelter or an outhouse and like there's a little nail sticking out of the wall and you walk too closely, it'll just rip the nylon right open, and you're kind of out at that point. I mean, once the nylon rips, it's not easy to fix. And you know, it's just basically you're sacrificing weight with comfort. So you're sacrificing a lot of comfort with weight with this jacket. The arms are wet. And if you really want to science it out, yeah, technically you can just continue hiking. If you don't mind the discomfort of having wet arms, this jacket will work. You can run in it, you can exercise in it, you can wear it when the sun is out, you can wear it in warm temperatures, and you can wear it in really cold temperatures. You can wear it snowboarding. You know, if you're going to be surrounded by snow flurries, fixing power lines or something in a blizzard, you might want to go with a more bomb-proof, full-on puffy jacket. I mean, this jacket only has like a ½ an inch of loft to it. So if you're expecting really, really cold temperatures, you seriously might want to look at a bigger, heavier down jacket. This is a really lightweight one. All right, so as you can clearly see, this Ghost Whisperer is doing really well in the rain. There's the rain on my head. Okay, I'm wet. Look how wet my arms are. You can see that. Walking to work in the morning in the rain. You can see the raindrops on there. You see that? This jacket is doing exceptionally well in a light rain. Yeah, there's different kinds of rain. There's heavy rain and there's light rain. Obviously, there's drizzling and sprinkling. But I'm really shocked at how well the Ghost Whisperer is doing in the rain, just overall. The arms are warm. There's a slight cold spot right here where the compression strap is on the chest. Where the zipper is, that's a cold spot, a little. But overall, the jacket is really awesome. It's got a great cinch cord around the waist. It's extremely functional. I'm gonna put my iPhone away because it's getting wet, but like right here, you can see that. You see this? I mean, that's straight up water, just sitting on the nylon. The nylon does a great job of locking the raindrops out. After like 20 minutes, I got some cold spots on the jacket. Everywhere where it's compressed, this sternum strap, the shoulder straps, in the elbow, where the down is kind of pressed down, the rain got through. Okay, so there's little sections of the jacket where the rain got through that created a cold spot, and that more or less reduced the temperature inside the jacket and made the jacket less cozy. So, you know, basically I had like a 20-minute window to set up either like a poncho or a shelter, and I was still really toasty, warm, and comfortable during that window of time. But after like 20 minutes, everywhere where the jacket was compressed, it started to allow the water through, and that drastically lowered the temperature inside the jacket.